The future of Fiji it's very, I can say, bleak.
If we did not solve this drug problem in Fiji, soon our nation is going to be a nation of zombies.
How corrupt are the police?
Oh, very, 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 very much.
Fiji is awash with meth. You've seen a lot. How widespread is it now?
It's very bad, like very, very, very bad.
We'll call him Vili, a drug user and supplier who's done jail time. He was closely associated with the Rahmans. Talit Rahman is now in a New Zealand prison for importing meth from Mexico for the Comancheros. Son Joshua is serving 20 years behind bars in Suva for possession of nearly 40 kilos of cocaine.
I influence a lot of people to use it.
Earlier this year, nearly 5 tonnes of meth worth $1.6 billion was found in 2 houses in Nandi.
The size of the seizure, to put this in perspective, is enough to feed the Australian market for 1 year.
While 13 people have been arrested, the stakes are so high, fear remains. People living around the drug houses are too scared to speak to us on camera because after they gave interviews to the local media, a group of men turned up in a car trying to intimidate them and threats were made. Most of the haul, which originated in Mexico, was destined for New Zealand and Australia, but some was for the local market. One News knows of 4 recooked labs on Vanua Levu and Viti Levu. This is where the crystal meth has other ingredients added to it to make it cheaper for the local market.
They bring the yachts from Tonga to Onui Lau and Matuku, that is in the Lau archipelago. They seal wrap it so that it's waterproof, and they put like mats, and they put like the buoys, and they put GPS, and they put in the sea.
These are some of the places other meth arrests have been made this year, but it's just the tip of the iceberg. It's clear things are bad, but how bad?
It's everywhere. Not only is it killing the youth, it's killing our children too. If we did not solve this drug problem in Fiji soon, our nation is going to be a nation of zombies.
There's no drug rehabilitation program in Fiji. The Women's Crisis Centre is at the front line of desperation.
I feel that it's every household, yeah. Because most of our communities, we live in an extended family, yeah. It's happening in the villages, it's happening in the schools, even children are using it.
Village structures are falling apart. Meth is a new norm, even amongst Fiji's youngest.
Children have been used as mules to sell drugs in school or to their friends outside school. I know, and I've heard also, which is even worse, where some parents have actually given drugs to their children to go and sell in school.
That is very alarming for us as a military. When we view it from the lenses of national security, it is very concerning.
Those on the street tell us buying meth is as easy as buying a curry. It just costs more.
Quarter bag, it's $150 Fijian, and a half bag is like 250 to 350 Fijian dollars. But as I'm saying, it depends on the grade. That's the thing that people in Fiji are doing. They sell drugs to buy drugs. So they consume, and then they'll sell a few so that they can get a reload.
People are selling everything they own, stealing from family and friends, and there's the violence.
There has been some deaths last year and this year.
Right.
I think 2 overdose cases, and I think 3 or 4 cold murders.
Some murders?
Yes. There was a girl that was stabbed.
The future of Fiji it's very, I can say, bleak.
There's a lot on the line for Fiji's next generation. Safe in a bed for the night, these street kids make up more than 300 in the capital Suva and an estimated close to 1,000 across Fiji. Amani and Kara Wongatia take boys into their home, up to 30 of them at any one time. Most are using meth, but not under this roof.
Now, I'm no longer confiscating glutens. I've started confiscating needles.
How easy is it to buy meth in Fiji?
It's very easy to know all the dealers, so you just have to go to their doorstep.
Amani is desperate for funding so he can set up more beds for the street kids. They also get access to education here, and there's been some success stories, but it's a drop in the ocean.
These kids need to be cared for, to be loved.
These 3 meth-addicted sex workers have just finished for the night. One of them is pregnant, and as I interview her, it's clear she's high. How do you pay for the meth? You sell yourself? Yeah. Okay. There are no rehab programs in Fiji. One News understands the government here is negotiating with Drug Free World, run by the controversial Scientology Church. Salvation Army Fiji came close to getting New Zealand funding, but we're told our Foreign Affairs wanted to concentrate on climate change.
The big issue is actually about security and about border control and about monitoring and surveillance.
New Zealand puts in $3.3 million into a Pacific Detected Dog program and $21 million into supporting police here, but it's at grassroots where it's also desperately needed.
We have the expertise, we have the resources, like the physical, like the homes, the centers and everything like that. We just need the funding. I spoke to an 11-year-old girl who was high from glue and who shared with me that she is selling her body to feed her addiction. What is to become of Fiji if this continues?
The situation here is dire. Most of the meth here in Suva is coming from the western side of the island. We've just been shown one of 3 locations in the small area of Kanoia, and that's where you can go to buy drugs and sit around and consume them while the drug dealers are there.
Yeah, we got a problem. The big pushes have moved away from the cities, have come to residential areas.
Tavita runs his own program for neighbourhood kids, hoping to keep them off the street.
I've been there.
How did you get out of it?
Jesus.
There are good people doing good work in Fiji, but it's clear they can't do it alone. Every night is a meth night in Suva. This is what the morning brings, syringes and meth packets scattered around.
We will fight it. We will. We owe it to the future generations to fight it.
While Fiji's top politicians are united in wanting to fight this meth epidemic, it's so bad here that just within a few steps of their offices you can find syringes lying on the ground, because this is one of Suva's top drug spots, right inside the grounds of Parliament and the courts. As a result of the meth epidemic, an HIV/AIDS crisis has exploded. Top UN AIDS official Yaman Murphy is in Fiji responding to the government's plea for help, and he's worried.
It's a serious concern. We're seeing young people, teenagers, dying of HIV today, and that's shocking and alarming. We're seeing 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds coming into clinics testing positive because of drug use.
Last year in Fiji, there were 415 new cases compared to 97 in New Zealand. While most countries are seeing AIDS cases decline, Fiji has the second highest increase in the whole of Asia and Pacific. Because Fiji's a major transport and educational hub for the region, there are fears HIV's already been spread far and wide.
This is a serious worry for all of us, that we're going to see an epidemic across the Pacific. It's a powder keg.
But what's ignited the AIDS epidemic here is a shocking practice called Bluetoothing. It's not just sharing needles, it's sharing blood to get high.
People are injecting the drug into themselves, withdrawing their blood with the drug in it, and sharing that with other people, injecting other people.
A practice drug dealers like Vili know all about. Have you heard of Bluetoothing?
So in Fiji, the common word that we use, the blasting, so we'll say the same way.
Is that reasonably common?
In some places where people cannot afford. Yeah.
It's spreading HIV like wildfire.
People are just so addicted, they really don't care what the consequences is going to be.
It is stretching the limits of the medical profession, and we don't seem to have specialists or doctors qualified enough to deal with the problem.
Sexual activity and prostitution's adding to it.
Women are actually forced to peddle drugs. We've even had women who are forced into prostitution forced by the husband to get injected so they can perform other sexual activities.
Fiji's Prime Minister says the only solution is law enforcement, churches, schools, families working together.
It's going to be difficult, but it can work. And also the effort to set up drug rehabilitation centres.
Everyone's concerned and wants to work together to support Fiji to lead its way out of this.
What's crucial to beating a meth crisis is having a strong police force, but sadly many in the Fiji police have been compromised. One News has been told by dealers how easy it is to bribe them. How corrupt are the police?
Oh, very, 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 very much.
What are they asked to do?
Interview evidence to lessen charges. We'll call up our guys in the police force.
In January, police seized nearly 5 tonnes of meth from 2 houses in Nadi after a tip-off. A police officer was later arrested for trying to skim some of it, but it gets far worse. High-level sources have told us more than a tonne linked to this Nadi consignment is missing. The minister in charge of the police admits corruption in the force is a big issue.
A lot of it is true, and some have been taken to task about it. It's something that really needs to be done properly, quickly.
The rot started at the top and it's going to take some unravelling. Just this month, former Police Commissioner Sitiveni Ngilio was jailed for abuse of office, along with former Prime Minister Frank Bainimarama.
Actually, I did it in this room here. I invited the Police Commissioner to resign because I know that I could not work with him.
One News understands there are ongoing investigations against Ngilio and Bainimarama. In a startling Facebook post, Fiji's commander of the Joint Task Force, Manoa Gadai, alleges Ngilio stopped a joint military police drug raid from proceeding on Fantasy Island near Nadi. Amongst others coming forward, respected police veteran Rusiati Tundravu, who unexpectedly resigned as Deputy Commissioner in 2021. He's a witness in an upcoming case and he told us he was asked to do things by people in power that were illegal or questionable.
There are elements of corruption, but we have the political will now for the police to organize and conduct itself. We just need to weed out, identify those that are the crop of police officers that are not faithful.
When the new government came in, it found bundles of investigation files gathering dust at the supposedly independent Corruption Office. Those cases now coming to light. But with the meth trade endemic at every level, destabilising society, the military wants decisive action from government.
There's some evidence that has pointed the military towards certain individuals being involved. It's very concerning and alarming for us.
The military insists it won't get involved in governance, but wants to use firearms when needed to support police as the drugs crisis spirals. Transnational crime specialist Jose Sousa Santos says the biggest problem in the country is a compromised police force.
The infiltration and corruption of law enforcement and other agencies which are tasked with, with addressing this issue. And you can't have an effective mitigation policy against methamphetamines and the groups which are involved in this, including the big players, if the agencies which are tasked with addressing this issue are part of the problem.
The will to change is there, but how it's going to be done is the question. Nandi Baba Jerry Seville used to be a major meth user, doing things he now regrets. Now he's clean, a pastor, and worried for his beloved Fiji.
Now you can see needles in the villages which you never saw before. Kids, people you never think would take it, doing ice now.
Fiji is a Pacific power player, but it's struggling with a meth epidemic threatening societal collapse. And right now, Australian officials are in the capital, Suva, working on a Pacific policing plan.
There's a lot of legal work going on in the background as part of the implementation, and that has already started. And we've had a legal team travelling around various parts of the Pacific.
There are 3 parts to what's proposed. Pillar 1 launching a dedicated unit of Australian and Pacific Island cops, giving them up to a year's specialised training for rapid deployment to any regional emergency. This will operate like the Solomon Islands Ramsey model. Pillar 2 setting up centres across the Pacific and boosting them with cash and support, delivering skills across the region. And Pillar 3, a coordination hub in Brisbane, which will include seconded Pacific Island police officers. It'll cost nearly $1 billion.
It is a lot of money, but obviously from an Australian perspective, they would obviously see the value in ensuring that there is peace and stability across the region.
But the scheme, which is yet to be made public, is setting off alarm bells.
The geopolitical context here, is it a reaction against China? Is it another approach by Australia to strengthen its control of security and sovereignty in the region? So those are some of the questions that we need to ask. And I think the Australian government has to come clean on those.
And transnational crime specialist Jose Sousa Santos says what's most needed is a regional narcotics bureau to strengthen what's already in place for law enforcement in the region.
New Zealand and Australia have for many years used the Pacific as a buffer. Intelligence is received before the Pacific. So why are these seizures not being made before the drugs get to the Pacific and before we see this overflow damage and the damage to society?
The Australians have already visited Tonga. They hope to send their deployable group to the Pacific Islands Forum leaders meeting there later this year.
We've got some legislation that we're going to propose for our government here in Tonga that will allow a deployable force to come into the country, have the usual and the required protections whilst they're here, but under the control of the local jurisdictions.
Pacific countries fear handing over any of their sovereignty, and the Pacific Islands Forum is strong on that.
The forum is the clearinghouse for any regional activity which has to do with geopolitics, has to do with policing, has to do with security, and I think Australia should respect that.
The Australian Federal Police are also looking towards the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting in Samoa. Partnership will be everything if Australia's ambitious Pacific policing initiative is to succeed. It's clear that Australia and New Zealand need to do a lot more to help combat the meth crisis, which is ravaging communities here. That's because the meth which arrives into this country, including the 5 tonnes earlier this year, is ultimately destined for Aotearoa. We're putting in a lot of money into a police support program and also drug detector dogs, but it's not enough. The people on the ground are the people here who most need the help.